I'm back with Trust the Dick podcast by yours truly, Mr. Dick. Today, I want to touch base on all you bastards out there that are kicking so much ass and want to take your shit to the next level. I understand that even for guys and girls out there that eat as healthy as I do, and I mean, I am the epitome of health when it comes to, I know every single thing that goes in my body. Okay, from the one coffee I have a day that has 2 tablespoons of maple syrup and 2 tablespoons of whipping cream to every single thing that goes in up until 6 o'clock to go ahead and get myself as in shape as I possibly can, regardless of what I'm doing. It gets the best of all of us. And now we're going to go ahead and what are we going to do to kick more ass than you ever have in your entire life? And for us, I'm going to use myself as an example. I usually compete every single year. You know, when I was first starting out, I was small. My very first show, I was 167 pounds. Can you imagine what 167 pounds looks like on a 6-foot guy? Has anyone actually seen a real live Crypt Keeper? This was me. I just looked like ribs and fuck it. It was horrific. Okay. But once again, we all have to start somewhere, and it's knowing how to get there and how to propel yourself further and further as each and every single year goes by. So I was 167 pounds. It took me 4 or 5 years to get up to 180 pounds because the average guy only puts on around 4 or 5 pounds of muscle a year, and that is pushing it. And do you know how on you have to be in order to put that 4 or 5 pounds on? It is ridiculous. Workout, rest, eat, recover. Don't overtrain. You lose muscle, all these different things. Everything has to be on like clockwork. And so when I went ahead and I was sitting at 180 pounds, I wasn't really competitive because once again, being 6 foot tall at 181 pounds on stage, I was still skinny. I didn't have the mass I needed to be competitive against those guys. So I said to myself, what do I want to do? If I know that I'm going to put on 4 or 5 pounds of muscle a year, do I want to take the next 3 years off to go ahead and come back at 198 pounds or 195 pounds? Or do I want to continue going ahead and training as hard as I can for 6 months and then dieting and this and that and never getting exactly where I need to go? I said, fuck that. I took 3 years off. I came back at 196 pounds on the dot, and I have not looked back. Every single show that I've been in, it's either first, overall, still not the pro card yet. So for all those listening that have been to my shows, one day I really hope I get it. But you know, it's about progression. It's about progression. It's about pushing yourself further each and every year to build those things that need to be fixed. And so I get very frustrated when it comes to this because so many guys out there are like, well, what drugs can I take? How can I get there? You know what? This and that. And it's not about drugs. It's about knowing what to eat, when to eat, how to train, and how to rest and recover. And that is a big deal, especially if you want to go ahead and put on the muscle that you want. If you want to build those shoulders, you want to build those quads, you want to fucking make an insane ass. It's like, what do I do to go ahead and allow that to happen as fast as it's possible? So what I would tell anybody coming out of the gate in January is you are what you eat. Get those calories in. For me, I'm dieting now for us to go to Mexico on February 18th. And this morning I was sitting at 229 pounds. And I was like, okay, well, I've got 42 days. My goal is to drop 8 to 10 pounds, feel a little bit better. And once again, it's to feel good in your own skin, regardless of what that might be, is to look good how you want to look good. I consume 6,800 calories a day to maintain 229, and it's taken me a very long time to go ahead and have those be the calories. It is a lot of food. And you know what? I only consume 1 shake a day, which is like 300 calories. So a lot of it is all whole foods. You can understand how much food that is and when I have to start eating. And for me, it's the same thing. I get all my calories in between 6 to 6. It is what it is. And the cool thing about that, as long as you can do that, your body will burn fat while you're sleeping. It's very important. Any food put in the system after 6 o'clock within reason, you can have a shake. It's not the end of the world to have protein because protein's not going to make you fat, but it's the things that are going to go ahead and give you energy when your energy is not being used. Fat, carbs, don't consume after 6 o'clock because once again, it's going to go to your midsection. It's going to go to your ass, and you want to go ahead and burn fat while you're sleeping. So when you wake up, it's fucking go time. So what I did is I put my calories around 5,000. So that's 1,800 off the total of where I am. My body will go ahead and probably lose 3 or 4 pounds within the first 7 days, and then it'll stop. It'll regulate. Okay. The goal is for me, because my calories are so high, is to keep the calories fairly high when I'm dieting. So my body is sustainable. It gets all the nutrients it needs to. If I go ahead and I drop it to 2,000 calories, I'm going to be starving. I'm going to hate the way I look. I'm going to look like a fucking wall. You're going to be flat as hell with no pump whatsoever. And so what I would say for anybody coming out of the gate in January, it's so important to go ahead and, like I've said in previous podcasts, 1,850 calories for a guy to drop weight, 1,550 for a woman to drop weight. We want to go ahead and put on some muscle. So in order to be able to put on muscle, there's two ways we can do it. We either have to stay the same weight while increasing our calories. So even if the body is saying at 220 pounds and it's not dropping, but we're continuing to add calories slowly to maintain that 220, you're putting on muscle. The only other time is obviously if your weight keeps climbing. But once again, if you're only putting on 4 to 5 pounds of muscle a year, what is the point of putting on 30 fucking pounds? Because if you know 30 pounds minus 5 is 25, that's 25 pounds of fat. So obviously there's glycogen stores. There's certain things that your body needs to go ahead and hold. So, for me, it's putting on 15, maybe 20 pounds for a guy. For my girls, it's like 10, 12. Okay. Once again, it's giving you enough energy in the gym and giving that oomph, which surrounds your joints, makes you feel good. Because if you're super, super lean all the time, your body gets run down, your joints get fed up with you. And all of a sudden you've got all these aches and pains that shouldn't be there. So we want those calories at a surplus. Okay. You've got to find out what that number is for you. So if you're a guy sitting at 200 pounds, you know what? You might want to start at 2,500 calories. And you'll see if you start dropping at 2,500 calories, now you know you got to add a little bit of weight or add a little bit of calories to that because you don't want to drop, especially for all those guys that want to go ahead and put on muscle that are already fairly lean and want to fix those weak points. In order to fix those weak points, we've got to put on muscle. We cannot be at a deficit because basically what's happening is you're taking away extra fat. And if you're already lean, now it's coming from muscle. And that's what we don't want. Okay. So get those calories up to 25. If you have to increase, then do it. I've got a kid that's 159 pounds consuming 4,100 calories with 3 cheats a week. He is shredded, but we have to keep upping those calories. So now where I will say with this is like I tell a lot of my high level clients, it's start at 25. If we drop, we add. If we drop, we add. And all of a sudden you'll get that point where you might be sitting at 3,800 calories and now your weight's not moving anymore. That's where we want to be. Okay. Because now you know that you're putting on good quality muscle. In saying that, now that we know we have the calories where they need to be, the biggest thing is the workout. Workouts are huge. Okay. I get it. Monday's International fucking Chest Day. Everybody wants to do chest. I get it. But what you should do is take a look at your physique, front, side, and rear, and really go ahead and think of it like Arnold Schwarzenegger said. He's like, my body's like a canvas. I want to make sure that everything looks the way it should be, regardless of what body part it is. And for most of us guys, like I said in my last podcast, I wore shorts for 2 fucking years because my legs looked like a pencil. It was ridiculous. I lived in Prince George. It's minus 40. Okay. Who needs to wear shorts? But I also ultimately said, I don't feel comfortable going to the beach because I couldn't even imagine how I was able to walk. They were so tiny. Like my calves were as big as my quads. So I said, enough's enough. I'm going to wear shorts. I'm going to stare at those bastards every single day for 2 years. And what it did, it made me work on it. So for a lot of us guys out there, the more you work your legs within reason, the more your natural testosterone is going to go up and it's going to make you bigger on itself. What's the biggest part of a tree? The base. Okay. Think of your legs as the base. The bigger the base, the bigger the body. And you'll look very different from all the other guys that are in the gym, and you know who they are. Every single one of us knows those guys that wear joggers that we just know. And you can see, especially if they're tight joggers, it's fucking gross. Okay. We don't want to be those guys. We want to make sure that we look exactly like we want to, because if we're going to put in all this time, if we're going to work out this hard, we're going to consume the calories, we're going to get our rest. We want to grow. We want to put ourselves in the right direction. So, building a program that is set up to move you forward. So like I said before, you take your front, your side, your rear, you take a look at them. You see what needs to be changed. Obviously, if your legs are small, throw in your legs 2-3 times a week. Once again, if you're doing a body part, and this is a good indication if you're overtraining. So for me, when I'm in my off season trying to go up, I'm working out 4 days a week, sometimes 5. And the reason why is because I'm pushing so hard that I need that recovery for that muscle to grow. If I overtrain a muscle, basically I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to atrophy. I'm going to take away from muscle. And that's not what we want. Okay. That's why rest and recovery is so important to move forward. It fucks with a lot of guys' heads when they can't work out 6-7 days a week, because then they think they're going in the wrong direction, which in reality is if they're pushing as hard as they possibly can, there's no way they can't go in the right direction. But what happens is they overtrain and then it stops that. Okay. So it's very important based on the program you're building to go ahead and set your body up to move forward in the right direction. You know, if your shoulders are small, throw your shoulders in a couple times. If your chest is massive, I've actually gone ahead and taken one of my clients. His name is Paul. Okay. His chest is huge. I had it where he worked his chest once every 2 weeks. Did that fuck with his head? 100%, because he was losing his mind. And all we did was work on his legs, his back, his shoulders, and his arms. And they're huge to this day. Now he looks way more proportioned. But once again, if you want to look like you want to look, you have to build the plan to suit this look. Okay. So just because we want to work arms and just because we want to work chest doesn't mean that we need to or we should. Okay. Everything in moderation and work what needs to grow. Okay. Lastly, I will say when it comes to this, like I've said, when it comes to food, when it comes to training, it is very, 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 very important not to overtrain. Okay. I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to stress it so much because I have so many of my guys being like, well, I need to go that 6th day. I need to go that 7th day. Who said? Why? Why are you saying that? Because Instagram said it, because your buddy said it, you know. Remember, this is about you. This is not about anybody else. This is specific to you. What do you need to do to move yourself forward? So in saying that, you know what? All guys I treat like myself. It's like, you want to fix those weak points. You want to look good and you want to make sure that people are like, fuck, this guy works out, because it's very, very cool. I'm 42 years old. I want to go ahead and look as good as I possibly can, as long as I possibly can, but I have to do the right things in order to maintain and push myself forward, or else I'm going to be like the average person and it's not going to work. And that's not for us. That's not for next level. That's not for, Coach Alan Dyck's clients. I want them to be the epitome of health. So they're literally their own walking billboard. How did you get like this? How are you able to do this? Because you follow a set of protocols. It's eat healthy, rest, recover, grow, work out. All these things are set up perfectly for you to go ahead and succeed. Okay. What I will say is, because I compete once a year, that's what gives me motivation. So I know that every single year around March 15th to March 30th, I start cutting. And I've been doing this for 20 years. So you have to find something that motivates you, because for a lot of people, even people that are, advanced and they want to kick a ton of ass, they need that little thing that allows them to stay motivated, that keeps them going. And for me, knowing that, okay, I'm sitting at 229 pounds. Yes, I'm going to come down from Mexico, but I know how to manipulate my body because it's been 22 years of it. I know that, about April 1st, I'm going to start cutting again. When I get back from Mexico, I'm going to bring myself right back up to that 230 pound mark, because that's where I need to be in order to be able to come down. So you just have to go ahead and find something that motivates you, that's going to keep you pushing each and every day. And so for me, it's knowing that I'm cutting every single year at a specific date. For you, it might be something totally different. It might be, okay, well, shit, I'm going to a wedding, or I'm going on a guy's trip, or hey, my wife and I are going to Hawaii, or whatever it might be. But keep that motivation right at hand. I literally put a picture like Sylvester Stallone did in Rocky IV up on my wall, being like, this is what I want to look like. And my little guy said to me, because he loves Rambo and it's awesome, he said, Dad, holy shit. Like, he didn't say shit. He's 11. Okay. I'm just ad-libbing. But he said, holy shit, like, Sylvester Stallone is ripped. It was in Rambo 2 and Rambo 3. And so he's like, Dad, can you get like that when we go to Mexico? And I was like, I can try, but it's like, he was blown away that somebody could go ahead and do that to themselves, regardless of how they got there. But still, it's that mindset and that motivation that each and every single one of us need, with all these little micro goals to kind of get us to that point. Okay. So that is very important. And I stress that a lot, because so many people, even the ones that are, high level like myself and want to kick a ton of ass, and we have to push ourselves a lot harder, is if we don't have those little things to look forward to, we lose that. And once you lose that, it's so hard to get it back. I've seen so many people, go on vacation, and after 2 or 3 days, I was thinking about this on the drive into work, after 2 or 3 days of not being on your food, your workouts, your cardio, even for a guy like me, it's like, it's crazy how your body just switches over. It's like, fuck it. This is easier. I just want to do this now. And it's nuts because it happens to so many people and even the best of us. Okay. So making sure that you're doing something every single day, even though I'm only working out 4 or 5 times a day, I will still do something active every single day. Whether I go to the gym and I do some core, I do some calves, I do some forearms, things that are going to go ahead and get worked all the time and that have to be stressed out, even just that little bit more to grow. But once again, I need to let everything else rest in order to get that growth to be able to advance to look better. Okay. So like I've said, mine is once a year I know to cut. I know that I build a program to fix my weak points. And as long as I go ahead and I rest, recover, eat, all those things, I'm able to move myself forward. What I have for a lot of my clients that don't compete bodybuilding, but that still want to look as amazing as possible, is I do micro cuts. And this is really, really kind of cool. So in January, every single one of my guys right now, we're going to put on some weight. We're going to put on maybe, 1.5 pounds, maybe every 2 weeks. That way we are still growing. We're still looking good. And after about 3 months, we might put on 10 or 12 pounds. And it's really cool because if you're doing it smart and you're pushing as hard as you can in the gym, the muscle that you're trying to build and the food and the calories you're consuming are going to go to that muscle that's being stressed. If you're consuming all this food and you don't progressive overload, you do not push yourself as hard as you can, it's going to go to your stomach and your ass because the body needs to know where that food has to go. And if you're not stressing the muscle out, then it's not going to know where to go. It's going to go to your stomach. And that's why a lot of people, even though they work out, but they don't have that next level or they don't have that progressive overload where they know they have to beat each and every single workout by a rep or by weight, they'll notice that their stomach gets bigger. And that's my goal and my job to tell them, you don't push yourself hard enough. I can call somebody out and I look them right in the eye and be like, you don't push yourself hard enough. And there's a lot of, backplay or backlash and this and that until they realize, fuck, maybe I don't. Because those people that do, you notice them. And that's what we want out of this. That's what I wanted of every single fucking client that I have. And so 2-3 months of going up, we're fixing weak points. And then what I tend to do is I do like a month micro cut. And so even though we put on 10 pounds in that 30-day cut, because the calories are a lot higher than the average person, because we've gone ahead and we've pushed and we needed to grow, I'll do a little micro cut of 30 days. And I might take off 5, 6, 7 pounds. And show that person everything they just did for that last 3 months when they put everything into it. And so this only applies to the people that are willing to take it to the next level and the people that are willing to go ahead and put forth that time and that energy to change their body. So if you're that kind of person, because I know I am, I wouldn't be able to go to the gym if I wasn't going to be able to kick my ass and know that I'm going in the right direction. It's totally up to you. So if you want to take your training to the next level, these things that I just talked about are so bloody important. It's ridiculous. The same thing applies to women, and women are such a different beast than guys. Like I've said before, it's very different for you guys. And so what I mean by that is same thing happens with the calories. You want to go ahead and, like I've said before, calories for women are at 1,550 to drop, kind of maintain and drop, and you're still going to be tightening up. But for all those women out there that want to go ahead and increase and still put on muscle, it's the same principle. I don't do anything different. When I have a guy that's 200 pounds and I have a woman that's 200 pounds, I treat them exactly the same. It's just weight. So I just have to realize that, what do you do for a living? Do you sit on your ass? Do you walk all day long? Are you a construction worker? And those apply to the things that I go ahead and alter to make changes to go ahead and add calories. If someone's sitting on their ass all day long, it's really hard to go ahead and say you need to consume this many calories because they're not burning it by sitting down. So, it's very important to make sure that you kind of find out what kind of job you have to maximize the amount of calories you need to go ahead and grow to put yourself in the right direction. And that's why I love best about this stuff. I know exactly kind of once you go ahead and tell me what you do for a living, what your goal is and what you want to achieve, it's game, set, match. It's 22 years I've been doing this. I know exactly what to say to you. I have no qualms. I'm not usually, stumped. I've been stumped maybe, once or twice in the last 5 years. And I actually love it when that shit happens because it's like, then I finally get to learn something. And it's kind of nice because if you're the smartest person in the room, get the fuck out of the room. Okay. So I always want to make sure that I'm still learning at the end of the day. So for women, like I said, you want to go ahead and up your calories. I've got a couple girls that sit around 25 to 3,000 calories a day. Once again, they're sitting around 135 to 140 pounds, but they've got a good amount of muscle on them. So you're going to be different. You might want to start at, okay, if we know that 1,550 calories to lose, we might want to start at 1,750 and kind of go from there. If you continue dropping, even though you're super lean and the goal is to put on muscle, we want to slowly add those calories, okay? For the calories that we're adding, you're only going to want to add carbs and fats because that 1 gram per body pound is enough, okay? Anything more, and it's just, your body doesn't need it. It's too much for the body. So back in the day, they might be like, okay, we're going to consume 2 grams per body pound. You know what? In certain situations, yes, but not this one. Okay. So just keep in mind that 1 gram per body pound of whatever you think of lean muscle is what you want to consume. And the rest comes from protein and fat. So that's what we're going to increase as we go. And like I've said in the first part of this podcast is like, if we're sitting at 1750 and we're dropping, we're adding calories. But your body takes a full 1 to 2 days to realize any changes that were made. So when I go ahead and I jump somebody's calories up, I have no idea what's going to happen for 1 to 2 full days. Okay. Even when I'm cutting calories, and it takes 1 to 2 full days, because when somebody is at a very religious, structured food plan and they know exactly how many calories they're consuming, their body does as well. So what happens is it takes 2 full days for their body to be like, oh shit, we've either taken away calories or we're upping them. Now I know what needs to happen. Okay. So it doesn't happen overnight. Slow and steady wins the race. And what I would say for women is we're talking about 1 to 2 pounds a month. You don't need to gain a lot of weight. It's not. We just want to make sure that we're at a surplus or our weight is staying the same and we're noticing those body parts changing. For women want to kick the shit out of their legs all day long. They want to work their ass, their thighs, their hamstrings, all this kind of stuff, because that is a lot of women's weak point. And it's crazy when you go to a lot of bodybuilding shows, women have way better legs than guys. It's nuts. I just wish guys would focus more on doing what even the women do. I have guys go through some of my women's workouts. They literally cry. I had one guy get sick the other day and he's a full grown man. He's 45 and he's jacked. He's like, what the shit? It's like, I told you. Women push so much more because they concentrate on those things because they don't have the ego we do. They don't have, okay, I got to work chest, I got to work arms. Okay, who gives a shit? Sometimes work the things that are weak. So for women, kudos to you because you guys end up looking so much better. And I've seen it for the last 22 years. Okay, if only guys could take a page out of your guys' book, good for them. And so, same thing. If we're going to go ahead and we've got a fitness plan set up, and like I said, for a woman that's advanced and wants to put on muscle, it's that same thing. It's like for you, probably 5 to 6 days a week kind of thing. And as long as that 6 days a week isn't going ahead and taking away from the other workouts. So if I was working out 4 to 5 and on that 5th day, I was still sore on the body part that I'm supposed to train, that's a day off. Okay. You need to know that has to be a day off because if we're going to go ahead and work something that's already sore, we're going to defeat the whole purpose and we're actually going to go backwards. Okay. Because like I've said, it is very important for that muscle to go ahead and fully recover, to grow. If we keep tearing it, it's just going to drop and you're not going to like the way you look because you're going to train as hard as you can on this one specific muscle and you're going to get frustrated because you're like, well, I'm sore all the time. Why isn't it growing? It's because you're sore all the time. Okay. You need to recover in order to shoot yourself in the right direction. One cool way of knowing if you're overtraining, male or female, is when you go to bed, check your heart rate. Okay. Whatever it is for 1 minute, write that number down. Okay. When you wake up in the morning, turn over, put your feet on the ground, check your heart rate again. If those numbers are close to one another, you are overtraining. Okay. Because the body isn't resting to be able to recover. It's very important that the body needs to rest. Okay. It's a big deal. And like I said, like even for me, I have a hard time when I'm like, okay, fuck, I need to go to the gym. I want to go to the gym, but I'm sore. I'm just like, so there's certain things you have to be okay with if you want to put yourself forward, if you want to move forward, if you want to advance. And this is for all those people, like I said, that are, sitting at the 8th, 9th and 10th level. You're sitting there and you're just like, holy shit, what else can I do? How can I further myself? These are huge, huge things. Eating within 60 minutes of getting up, making sure you have a protein shake right after your workout within 30 to 45 minutes. So your body goes ahead and utilizes that, recovers, have a little bit of fruit in there, a little bit of juice because you want to recover from basically all those glycogen stores, all those carbs you depleted to go ahead and recover and then back into your food again. Okay. Even for me, like I said before, when I was consuming 6,800 calories, I still stopped at 6 o'clock because I knew that my body needed to burn fat while it slept. Okay. This is huge. Like I have said many times, if you consume food after 6 o'clock, unless it's a pure protein shake, because that's not going to put on weight, the body burns carbs, fat, and protein. So I know that at 6 o'clock, I have the least amount of carbs in my entire day. Okay. So that way my body has the ability to now, while I'm sleeping, attack fat. And that's what we want. We want the body to attack fat so we can go ahead and diminish those areas that we don't like anymore. But the big deal is if you wake up and you wait any longer than 60 minutes before consuming anything, what was that last energy source? Start with a P, it's protein. Okay. We will start to burn muscle if you wait longer than 60 minutes of getting up before you consume any food, because now that's the only energy source to go ahead and take over to get you through your day. So many people will go ahead and start the day without eating breakfast, even if they're consuming a good amount of food. If you don't do that right off the bat, or even have a shake or rice cake, jam, peanut butter, just something to get into your system. Remember how I said you're only putting on 4 to 5 pounds of muscle as a man and 3 to 4 as a woman? If we're utilizing the fucking muscle that we have to go ahead and give us energy, we're defeating the purpose of training and working all this hard to go ahead and put on the muscle if we're going ahead and diminishing it without consuming food within this first 60 minutes. Okay. Those are huge, huge factors. You change those, you change the way you look, and all of a sudden you are that top 1%. Okay. Water is huge. Make sure to get it in. But like, I'm going to stress this as much as I possibly can, male or female, it does not fucking matter. Okay. Eat to grow, rest to recover, push as hard as you can in the gym. If you're doing a workout and you finally can't beat it by a rep or beat it by a weight, the program needs to change. Okay. You've got to give yourself a good 2 or 3 times at that same workout. If you can't surpass that because you're maxed, that's when you've reached your max. And that's when we know we need to change. For me, you know what? I'll be on a program for sometimes 16 weeks, because if I'm getting that extra 1 rep, or if I'm adding that extra 2.5 pounds, I know I am growing. Okay. I quote Arnold Schwarzenegger a lot, but he said back in the day, it's the last 1 to 3 reps that are the more important than anything else you did before. Okay. So if you remember that walking into the gym, like sometimes I'll be sitting in my truck being like, fuck, it's leg day. And I'm looking at what I have to do. And I almost want to tear up because I was like, this shit's going to hurt. But if it doesn't hurt, then I'm not pushing myself forward. Then I'm not that top 1%. And I'm not okay with that, you know? So it really comes down to, what do you want to do? How do you want to get there? Do you want to listen? You know what? It's your call. I've given you the advice. I've given you the tools. This will be a game changer if you implement what I just said. And I mean, you'll notice within days. It's not going to take weeks. It's not going to take a month. You'll notice within days. And it's crazy how fast it happens. So give it a go. Let me know how it went. And honestly, trust the dick.